So, let's talk about Nigeria. You hear Nigeria, you often think oil, right? They're one of the biggest oil exporters on the planet, and that should mean incredible wealth. But for so many people there, the reality is, well, it's the complete opposite. So what's going on? How can a country so rich in this black gold be home to so much poverty? It's a huge paradox, and that's what we're going to dig into.
And this quote, wow, it really just hits you. From a Chatham House report, it says, "In few, if any other places in the world, are oil companies producing so much oil next to so many poor people." I mean, that just perfectly captures the contradiction, doesn't it? It sets the stage for everything we're about to unpack in the Niger Delta, which is ground zero for all of this. And just look at the numbers here. It's just a shocking contrast. On one hand, you've got Nigeria as a top 10 oil exporter, pumping out over 2 million barrels every single day. That's a massive amount of wealth being generated. But then you look at the reality for the people living right there in the Niger Delta. The numbers are heartbreaking. 1 in 5 children not even making it to their 5th birthday. An average income of about $1 a day. The disconnect is just staggering.
You know, there's actually a term for this kind of situation. It's called the resource curse. And it's this bizarre, paradoxical idea that having a ton of natural resources, something that should be a huge blessing, can actually turn into a curse. Instead of leading to prosperity, it often fuels conflict, corruption, and just holds the economy back. It's a wild concept, but it explains so much of what's happening here.
All right, so to really get a handle on this resource curse, you've got to do one thing: follow the money. Who are the key players getting a piece of this multi-billion-dollar pie? And where does all that cash actually go? Let's break it down.
Okay, so there are really 3 main groups at the heart of this whole thing. First, you've got the Nigerian government. Through their national oil company, the NNPC, they hold the majority stake. Then you've got the big multinational corporations. Think Shell, ExxonMobil, Chevron. They're the ones with the tech and the know-how to actually operate the oil fields. And then, and this is the most crucial part, you have the communities themselves. We're talking about 12 million people living in the Niger Delta, right where the oil is being pulled from the ground.
So check this out. This is where it gets really interesting. Look at how the money from a barrel of oil is split. Now, this is based on a price of $50 a barrel, but the ratio is what's key. A whopping 88% of the revenue goes straight to the Nigerian government. The oil companies, their share is just 4%. The rest is just the cost of production. So the government is getting the lion's share by far.
So what does the government do with that huge pile of cash? Well, roughly half of it stays with the federal government. The other half gets sent out to the state governments. But here's the important bit. The states in the Niger Delta, the ones that are actually producing the oil, are supposed to get a bigger slice of the pie. It's an enhanced share. On paper, it sounds great, right? A system designed to send the wealth right back to where it came from.
But, and you knew there was a but coming, whenever you have that much money flowing through a system, the whole thing becomes incredibly vulnerable. It's just a magnet for problems. And the biggest reason the system breaks down, it's a word we're going to be talking about a lot: corruption.
And let's look at a case study of just how high up this goes. We're talking about a former minister of petroleum, accused of taking huge bribes in exchange for handing out oil contracts. And what happened to that money? Well, it was allegedly laundered through things you and I can only dream of. Luxury yachts, fancy properties in the US. The good news? Just recently, more than $52 million of those assets was seized and sent back to Nigeria. But that's likely just the tip of the iceberg.
And this isn't just about one person making bad choices. It can be incredibly organized and even international. Take the TSKJ/Halliburton scheme. Here you have an international consortium which included a subsidiary of a major American company, Halliburton. They were accused of funneling more than $170 million in bribes to Nigerian officials. And what was the goal? To win contracts worth billions of dollars to build a massive natural gas plant. This wasn't a one-off thing. It shows a complex, long-running system of alleged corruption.
And the drama isn't just between companies and the government. Because these oil assets are worth so much, you see these intense power struggles happening inside the private companies themselves. There are these huge corporate battles for control and influence. Things can get really messy, which just goes to show how high the stakes are for everyone involved. Okay, so we've talked about the money, the players, the corruption, but what does all of this actually mean for the regular person living in the Niger Delta? This isn't just some abstract economic problem. The consequences are real, they are on the ground, and frankly, they're devastating. Let's look at the human and environmental toll.
One of the biggest, most direct consequences is something called illegal bunkering. And let's be clear, this isn't some guy with a bucket stealing a bit of oil. No, this is a massive, industrial-scale criminal enterprise. We're talking about organized syndicates that literally tap into the main pipelines to steal crude oil by the tanker load.
And the numbers, they're just hard to wrap your head around. The estimates are that 150,000 barrels of oil are stolen like this every single day. To give you some perspective, that's more oil than some entire countries produce in a day. It's just a staggering amount of theft.
So what does that mean for Nigeria's bottom line? It means the country is losing over $1 billion in revenue every single year. $1 billion. Think about what that money could do. That's money for new schools, for hospitals, for roads, all just vanishing into thin air.
And please, don't think this is a victimless crime. It's anything but. When these thieves tap into the pipelines, it's not a clean process. It's messy. It causes huge oil spills that poison the rivers, kill the fish, and destroy the farmland that people depend on to survive. It absolutely devastates local livelihoods. I mean, this eyewitness account says it all. Seeing that oily shimmer on the water from a helicopter, it just paints such a tragic picture of the damage. So at this absolute crisis of corruption, theft, and environmental disaster, what's the solution? Is anyone trying to fix this? Well, yes. Let's dive into the search for solutions and what is for sure a really difficult path towards accountability.
Right now, it seems like there's a few different angles of attack. To deal with the shady, non-transparent contracts, they've introduced something called the Petroleum Industry Act. To try and make sure local people actually see some benefits, there's an agency called the NCDMB. And to combat the secrecy that corruption loves to hide in, you've got activists pushing for total transparency. So let's take a quick look at each of these.
Okay, first up, the Petroleum Industry Act, or PIA. This is a huge deal. It's a massive piece of legislation from 2021 that's meant to completely change how the oil industry works. The main goals are to separate the government's different jobs, so the same people aren't making policy, regulating, and doing business. It's also creating new independent regulators, and, most importantly, trying to force a whole new level of transparency and accountability on everyone.
Then you have this group, the NCDMB. Their whole mission is to make sure that more of the wealth and jobs stay in Nigeria. They're doing things like actually investing in Nigerian companies, for example, taking a 20% stake in a brand new refinery. The idea is to build up local expertise and create opportunities for Nigerians, not just foreign companies.
And really importantly, the push for change isn't just coming from the government. You've got journalists and civil society organizations on the ground demanding something pretty radical, a contract transparency portal. Imagine a public website where you could go and see every single oil contract, who got it, what the terms are, everything. It would shine a massive spotlight into all the dark corners and make it so much harder for those corrupt backroom deals to happen.
And all of this leads us to the big final question, doesn't it? Nigeria now has new laws on the books, new agencies trying to do the right thing, and this growing chorus of people demanding accountability. But is it enough? Can all of this finally break that decades-long resource curse? Can it finally bring the prosperity that the people of the Niger Delta were promised and have deserved for so long? The answer to that question will quite literally shape the future for millions of people.